This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm V.
And you're listening to Cringe With Me, the podcast where we dig up the cringiest articles, questions, and tidbits of human culture to review with you, our listeners, so you too can cringe with me.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible.
We are back. I've got a Am I the Asshole today.
Oh, perfect. So back to back.
Yes, but I'm excited about this one. This one's interesting. And it's got updates, so the story will progress.
I'm so excited.
Especially because the most recent update is one I hadn't read beforehand. It's new. Like, it got posted in the last couple hours.
So we're going to experience this together.
Absolutely.
I love that.
All right, so this is Am I the Asshole for not making my son remove a social media post disparaging my wife.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's fun. My wife and I are both in our mid-30s and have a 14-year-old son.
Okay, so they had him rather young.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. I've been a stay-at-home dad all his life, while my wife has been more hands-off due to a somewhat demanding job.
Okay.
Still, some basic facts that anyone with even a surface level of knowledge of our kid knows is that he's a good boy. He gets good grades, he's well-behaved, maybe a little spoiled, but aren't they all? My point is, I have rarely had to step in and deliver any real punishments thanks to open and consistent dialogue between the two of us.
I love that parenting style.
Sure, yeah, no problem there. I have a longtime friend who plays in a decently popular local band. He's a father figure to my son, and they also have a very close bond thanks to similar interests. My son has always been the artsy type, and he's so excited when friend comes over because it means he can show him the latest guitar he added to his collection or the new riff he's learned. During a friend's recent visit, he mentioned going on tour soon, and my son was intrigued. After pressing for details, he came to me later and asked if he could go with them on his fall break. So, go on tour with the friend.
Okay.
He had plenty of promises at the ready, that he would listen to whatever friend said, that would be on his best behavior, that would never ask for anything ever again. After talking out with him, gave him
14, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the dad's he gave him a maybe. He's like, maybe, I'm going to think about this, right?
Okay.
He reached out to the friend for his thoughts, and the friend was all for it. He figured he wouldn't mind since his friend also has a kid around the same age who goes on tour with him occasionally.
Oh, that'd be great.
This is a thing that happens sometimes. They wouldn't go at the same time necessarily, but this is not an unusual occurrence.
Well,
right?
if there's already a setup for a kid being there, it's not not even a kid, a teen.
Right.
A teenager.
I asked my wife, and after a very brief conversation, she agreed.
Sounds good. All for it, man.
Fast forward to the beginning of last week when he got packed up and set to leave. My wife asked where he was going. I reminded her, and she said she thought I was joking.
Okay, so he has clear communication with the kid, but not the wife?
So this is the thing. He said, I had no idea what part of it sounded like a joke, but she claimed my son wasn't allowed to go. I eventually persuaded her after our child went to his room in near tears. So the wife's like, no way, that's not happening. Kid goes crying to his room. Dad's like, okay, hold on. And then they have a conversation. He convinces her it's okay. When he arrived home yesterday, I had never seen him so happy. He got to help the roadies set up for the show. He got let into bars. He intentionally didn't wash one of the X's off the back of his hands just so he could come with it and show his dad. And friend was singing his praises over how helpful he was. A few hours later, my son made a social media post compiling photos from his time on tour. The caption was a long one, but included such gems as, "This almost didn't happen, thanks, Mom." And friend spent a lot of his free time with me, parentheses, unlike my mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
The first one was funny.
Well, it's still a jab, but yes.
Okay, but teenagers are gonna jab.
Right, sure. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying it was a jab, right? This led to a pretty big argument where my wife, upon being alerted to the post's existence, demanded he take it down. He refused, so she turned to me and asked me to talk to him. I refused. I told her that while I didn't think what he was doing was right, it was clearly coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
And that somewhere was a place in which he was feeling unheard and ignored by her. She's been ignoring me ever since.
Sounds like a pattern of her behavior.
Right. So there's an interesting controversy here, I think, right?
There's a couple controversies.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, one, is it okay to censor your child? Right? If your child is expressing their feelings on a social media platform, is it okay to censor them like that? I don't know. I'm generally against censorship, right? I'm generally against telling people what they can and cannot say. I can say that some things are inappropriate or problematic, but I'm not sure that, a couple passive aggressive jabs at his mom are in that category.
I feel like for the first time ever, we're on the same page.
Okay.
I completely agree with you.
Okay.
Unless the kid is being like outright inappropriate, sending nudes, posting like stuff like that, where it's
Sure.
like obscenely inappropriate.
Mhm.
They want to call me dumb and ugly. Cool, kid. When you come across this at 28, you're gonna cringe, but that's on you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like this, you will not look back on this in happiness later. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, I was a dick. But
yeah, that's your right as a child to be a little bit of a dick on the internet.
sure, I think the kid is being rude.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that I would censor this. I think
No.
I'd be somewhat more on the dad side. However, I also think that in general, those kinds of comments or posts are bad and people shouldn't do them. I don't think the kid should be posting disparaging remarks about his mom in that way because one, it's passive aggressive. Two, it's just kind of rude and kind of cringe. Like it doesn't look good. No one's going to read that and be like, haha, you got her. They're going to read that and be like, are you okay? This
Well,
seems like
yeah.
you're not okay.
It's obviously a call from help. The kid and the mom, their relationship is definitely a flag that the mother needs to address. Because
Sure.
it's very clear that and it's not just because she thought that him going on tour was a joke. There's something more there.
Yeah, and I think the correct answer forward or the best answer forward is probably somewhere in between. I don't think he should take the post down. I would encourage him to edit those parts out, right? Because you can edit and take part of the post out. I would encourage him to do that and be like, hey, this really hurt your mom's feelings. And if this is a cry for help, if you're feeling ignored or something, that should be a conversation between us. But I don't think that should be on the internet in this way, right? I don't think that's good for anyone. I don't think it's helping anyone. I wouldn't force him to do it, but I would ask him to.
Do we know what platform he posted it on?
I'm going to guess Instagram, but I don't know.
Either if it's Instagram or Facebook, he can edit it. If it's Twitter, he'd have to delete the entire thing and then remake it.
Well, we don't know. I'm going to assume Instagram because that's what people seem to use the most these days.
No, actually, it's TikTok.
Well, TikTok's not something you post stuff like that, though. It was simply a post with pictures, so to me, that's Instagram. Anyway, that's not important.
It could be Reddit.
So here's some follow-ups. To answer questions and comments I see commonly coming up, I am not encouraging my son to air our dirty laundry on social media. I just don't think the first move should be to tell him to delete it, when there is a clearly legitimate hurt motivating what he's saying. We're the parents. We can't move on impulse based on our feelings. It might be the gut reaction to ask him to delete it, but instead I want us to take the pause and come to him with empathy and understanding, where we discuss the matters together and help him decide what's best.
Good Dad Award.
Yeah.
Good Dad Award.
This is sounding good. As a lot of you are saying, this is definitely a teachable moment and not one that can be easily impressed onto him by just saying delete the post and not reinforcing the why, along with the more positive ways to express himself.
Okay, so right along the line that you were talking about.
Yeah, and then edit too. Please save the get a job comments. I plan to once my son gets his license. However, even if I didn't plan on rejoining the workforce, there's nothing wrong with the former SAHP. I don't know what that means.
I think it's a police acronym.
Okay.
Like the LAPD kind
Maybe.
of thing is what it sounds like.
Who choose to be homemakers. My wife and I mutually agreed on this dynamic, and it's very much what she prefers working, and this is not a productive addition to the
people
conversation.
Suck.
I know, people are like,
'Cause
get a job, and it's like, that's not the problem. This isn't anything to do with that.
If the parents' genders were flipped, ain't nobody be saying that.
No, of course not. So then there's the update from today, which is as long as the original thing.
Hooray!
So I'm very interested where the update is going.
Tiny claps, tiny claps, tiny claps.
Yeah. But in general, I do not think this person is the asshole. I do not think their behavior is cringe. I think that it is important to, like, approach with empathy. I don't think the wife has zero grounds here, though. I think it is offensive and rude. And I think it's kind of thing you want to have a conversation with your child about. I think that gut reaction of pull it is not.
See, I wouldn't have the gut reaction to pull it. My gut reaction, if I were the mother, it'd be, oh my God, I've been making you feel neglected. I'm so sorry.
Well,
or if I was that, it'd be like, dude, you fucked up.
Yeah.
to the mom, not to the kid. Because, oh my God, it's a kid. Like, it's not even, he's 14.
Sure.
You're 14.
Yeah, but if this mom, like as we said, has a very demanding job and is the sole breadwinner of the family, I could see where she might feel like, wow, I'm putting in a lot of work to provide our life for us.
Money's
which
not everything.
I know it's not. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying that I could see where she would feel hurt about this and feel like, wow, I'm sorry I'm less available, but it is because of these reasons, which are pretty valid, right? They are valid reasons to be less available. If you are working long hours, and you're the only person in the family who's doing so that means, like, your family does not have an income without this. Yeah, okay, like, you're going to be less available than the dad who's a stay-at-home dad.
Okay, but I would like to point out that when the dad went to her to discuss if this child would be allowed to do that, she assumed his wants and needs were a joke.
Yeah, that part is a little weird. I wish there was more explanation. Maybe there's in the update.
Okay.
So we'll get into that.
Well, update.
Update. Hi, all. This has certainly been a journey. I definitely knew there was stigma against a more gentle approach to parenting, but I never knew it was this large. When my son woke up this morning, I took him out for breakfast, where we had a talk about everything. Just as I mentioned in a comment, I wanted to have a talk with him in a way that led him to see that what he had done was wrong, and hopefully independently inspire him to fix the post. Pretty quickly into our discussion, he pulled out his phone and showed me that he already had. He said he had started feeling guilty and edited it the night before. If this hadn't been the case, or if he had refused to make changes, I would have put him on a 2-week social media ban. Because despite what some in the comments have said, I do set boundaries with my child. Discipline typically falls on the parent who is around their child the most, in my experience.
Okay, fair enough.
So again, this guy seems like he's dadding correctly.
He's killing it, man.
And it sounds like the kid also had the moment of like, yeah, this is pretty cringe. I should not do this.
OP, can you be my dad, please?
I know, right? We all need this dad in our life. We discussed how it can feel to get things like this off our chests on social media, that it's a thrill to be a little petty and have people see it, but that the excitement is short-lived. Obviously, he agreed and he was already feeling guilty. I suggested journaling, writing a letter and giving it to me, mom, or another trusted adult he can vent his grievances to, etc. I reassured him that his feelings were valid and I wanted him to express them, just not in a public arena where, if he gets too used to running to social media, he could say something really inflammatory and awful in a moment of anger and then really, really regret it. This was obviously an open discourse between the two of us. Social media is a precarious place for young men to be right now in certain circumstances. I feel lucky that I've fostered a bond with my son where he can openly talk about what he's viewing, his thoughts on SM, etc. SM?
Oh, what is SM?
I'm not sure I know what that means. Social media.
Okay.
There we go. Sorry. It was a good conversation that we've had in the past and one we'll revisit frequently in the future. Thankfully, he has male role models in his life that provide him with positive views of masculinity, so he doesn't need to run to the bigots of the world. Finally, the conversation turned to his relationship with his mom. This part feels incredibly personal, and despite this being an anonymous platform, I prefer to keep the nuances of my son's inner emotions regarding feeling ignored to myself. But I can tell you we've decided to have a family meeting before dinner tonight to discuss solutions. Like family therapy. I'm committed to helping foster a connection between them in whatever way I can. I think this can best be done with the help of a therapist or a mediator. Of my own relationship with my wife and what that will look like in the future, that needs some fixing as well. Most of all, I want us to be as strong co-parents. The last thing he talks about is like, yeah, my son wasn't exposed to any sex and drugs culture in the bars. He was not given alcohol. He hung out with the roadies, drank mocktails, but majority of the time he was on the soundboard. Like, I mean, this was done responsibly. People need to stop that. It was a lot of people like flaming him for all of these other things that weren't even the question.
The dude brought his own kid to these kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay. couple things here.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing him talk about how the internet's a rough place for young men makes me think of a student. In my real adult life, I'm technically a high school teacher. And I was talking about this with one of my high school male students because my class is about social skills. Weird, because I'm not very good at socializing. Anyway.
That's not true.
This particular student, who for the purposes of this class, I will call him Gamer Boy.
Gamer Boy.
All right, so Gamer Boy was telling me about how he had to delete his old social media because he kept getting bombarded with stuff that made him uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And hours into being on Twitter, as a young man, just about to hit adulthood, he was getting the same type of extremist content within hours of putting in the fact that he was male.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was startling to me, being an old woman on the internet. We get targeted very differently, so I get where the father is coming from. The social media can be a rough place if you're a young man because of the stuff that gets targeted towards you, the really deeply misogynistic stuff. And this particular student, Gamer Boy, because I know you guys found my social media, I am very proud of you for trying to sway yourself away from the more misogynistic stuff that was getting sent to you.
Yeah, there's some pretty problematic stuff that gets directed at people. There's also a lot of very predatory groups that when they see someone dissatisfied, try to jump in there and indoctrinate them.
Oh,
to
yeah.
certain
It's just,
mindsets.
It's a very clear tunnel. And he'd already been down that tunnel once, and he was trying to distance himself, but he was seeing the same entry points coming back at him.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine that, you know, if you post something disparaging your mom or sister or any other female in your life, and I know there's going to be men coming after you that are going to be like, hey, they're all like this, right? The red pillars, the misogynists, these types of men, these types of males are going to be coming at you like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you know, I want to keep you away from that. I don't want you getting that kind of energy because that's not how I'm raising you. And I really hope you don't have like...
I know, and it's even going towards OP here in the comments like, oh, how dare you be a stay-at-home dad?
Oh
Get a job, you bum.
Oh, that's what it means.
What?
The SHAP, stay-at-home parent. That's what it is.
Oh my God, we're so old.
Yep. I'm like, what is that? Okay, I figured it out. I'm glad I made the connection, honestly. There we go. Did it. It's stay-at-home parent. So yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of people throwing gender roles at this and a lot of gender-based irritation. And I can see why he's like, yeah, I'm concerned for my son on social media because of these things.
Oh, like, I'm literally being attacked right now. My son is on platforms. His kid could have been on Reddit. This could have been a Reddit post in the, like, groupies subreddit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Who knows? And depending on the platform, the targeting would be similar, but at the same time, like, strikingly different.
Yeah, agreed. All right.
I think the cringy people here are the commenters.
Honestly, a little bit, yeah. I don't think that the mom is cringy. I don't think that I think the mom had some uncool behavior, but I think
she wasn't abusive. She was just a little emotionally neglectful.
Yeah, the cringy thing is this very kind and considerate father asked for advice about a thing and then was told, get a job and don't let your son don't let your son go on tour with your friend. Like, what? Cool, good, thanks for the advice.
Boy, oh boy.
Welcome to the internet.
Ah.
All right. I think that'll do it for us this week.
All right. Next week is my last week to win.
Yes.
And the week after that will be your last week to win.
Yes. I'm coming ready.
I am too.
All right.
Pew pew. See you next week.
Goodbye. All right. Well, I'm Ryan, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Build Right Roll, where I post about my professional Dungeon Master experiences. You can check out the links in the description if you're interested in hiring a professional DM or looking to level up your own DM skills.
And you can find me, V, at Cringe Queen at Instagram and Twitter, or check me out on YouTube as the Queen of Cringe, and be embarrassed with me.
All right. Well, thanks for listening and cringing along with us.
And we'll catch you next time with more awesome cringe content.
Hello, I am Patrick.
And I'm Andrew. And I'm Christian.
And I'm Allie.
And we are Rad Theater, a podcast where a bunch of friends play role-playing games and share a single brain cell, and the GM doesn't always have it. Oh, and it's theater spelled the correct way, Theatre.